means one, all right? So one person can register like that and have the business running. The second is partnership. Like I said, Kama covers all these variants. Second is partnership. And from the word partnership, you can be your own partner. Partnership means two or more at least. However, there's a little slant to partnership. The slant is this: for lawyers and accountants, 20 more than 20 people can come together to form partnership. But for doctors, whether surgeons, dentists, or whatever, once you are more than 20, then you have to register as a limited company. It can't be partnership again. So Dr. Ashimi can join Dr. Paul Fadiji, can join together with Dr. Latunji Ori daughter or something. I can see Dr. Gundiron, Dr. Laditi Amiyu, Dr. Ladapo Rebi. You can all come together, for instance, and form partnership, provided you are not more than 20. So the law says between 2 and 20, you can form partners. The only professions that are permitted to register a partnership that has more than 20 partners are just two: accountants and lawyers. But for others, including the medical profession, once you are more than 20, start thinking of forming a limited company, whether limited or unlimited. We'll get to that. And that will take me to the next point, which is companies limited by shares. Now, we have been hearing limited before. We have heard of GTB PLC. We've heard of something limited, a lot of limited. What that really means is shares. So companies' liabilities are limited by share generally. At the point of forming your clinic or your hospital, you want to register it. If it's a limited one, for example, CAC, that's the Corporate Affairs Commission, will ask you that, what is your share capital? Share capital, something that by share capital, it means you must drop that money, right? No, that's not what it means. It means declare your worth. You recall that some 15, 20 years ago, a lot of banks went into liquidation. Some were moribund and the likes, and people's monies were lost in the millions, hundreds of millions. So what the government did, what the NICD, the NCID, I can't recall now, did, the Insurance Commission did, was to increase the capital base of banks. Now it's 25 billion. So whoever wants to register a bank now, open one, must declare a share capital of at least 25 billion. Since the time that began, it has been difficult for us to hear that the bank closed up. The worst you hear is merger or acquisition or the likes. So we don't hear that banks fold up again. That happened when the government shot up the capital base. So you don't have to pay that money in cash, but it shows that that is your worth as a company. So the proper thing to do is, if someone wants to, for example, let me take Beyonce, for example. If Beyonce wants to come and have a, I hope you all know Beyonce. She's a star. She's a music star. I think she's an American. A very expensive lady like that. I heard she even had to insure her labs. She insured her labs. So if she's coming, for example, for surgery in your hospital, and the first thing she would tell her lawyers to do is to apply for your prospectus. What is your prospectus? Your prospectus is your worth, your total worth, submitted to the CAC. So if at the point of registration, you declared only a share capital of, say, 1 million, for example, 1 million, someone like Beyonce would not, no matter how experienced you are, will not allow her surgery to be done in your hospital. Yes, that's why even government most times do not deal with sole proprietors. They will ask you to be at least limited. If, for example, you want to take contracts to tie a road or something, government would often insist that you must have a limited company. So I've given us example for banks. It's 25 billion naira for banks, and then for much less, So some do for 1 million, 2 million, but the whole essence is this: whatever thing you have declared to be your share capital, bear this in mind. This is the real essence of declaring share capital. If there's a problem and the company is to be wound up, the amount you have declared as your shareholding is what you must pay to debtors, to people that your company is owing. So if, for example, myself and Dr. Ashimi came together to register a hospital, and we declared, say, 20 million naira, Dr. Ashimi took 10 million, I took 10 million, for instance. all right? And then we registered the hospital. Remember, I've said that it doesn't mean you have to drop that money for CAC or for the government or for the FIRS. No, it's just a declaration that you sign and the likes to go to the court to do your oath. So if there's a problem, God forbid, and the hospital is about to close up, what that means is that if after selling all the assets of the hospital beds, the machines, all the equipment in the hospital, and we still have a debt of, say, 30 million naira, just for instance, that means personally, I will have to cough out 10 million. And personally, Dr. Ashimi will cough out under 10 million. That will make 20. Then the person may forgo the remaining 10, because at the point of registering, you are declared that your best worth, your maximum worth was 20 million. So whoever does business with you at a value higher than your share capital does so at his or her own risk. So that is the whole essence. So good companies that have good lawyers will not do business with you if your share capital is not weighty enough. That's the whole idea about that. Okay, time is running out. Let me move to the third one, which is companies. Okay, we also have private and public companies. For public companies, that's PLC, public limited company. Okay, those ones, their shareholding is open to the public. That's why it's called public limited company, PLC. Examples are banks. That's why they sell shares and the likes. I won't open Barrister Kayode Aderemi and Dr. Washimi Kunle Hospital, for example, and sell shares to the public. I can't do that. I'm forbidden to do that. But look at Coca-Cola, for example. It's a PLC. It has a lot, even Guinness, they have the public can come and buy shares in such companies. What's the difference between a PLC and a limited company? All right, let me just move ahead for time's sake. I'll stop with what is called incorporated trustees, and I'll not waste time on that at all. Incorporated trustees are, from the name, they just hold, they run organizations in trust for other persons. Examples are churches, mosques, generally speaking, non-profit oriented formations. All right. That's why, as we speak today, mosques and churches are not taxed. NGOs that deal with liberties, freedom, and the likes, like Amnesty International, CDHR, mention their names, all those NGOs, they are not taxed. It's not a taxable organization, all right? Those ones are registered under Part C of CAMA. They are called incorporated trustees. Okay, let's move to the second part. That is about types of business. Remember, we are speaking in general terms, all right? Let's move to types. Sorry, so we're done with types of business. Now, secondly, to contracts. I wish you could interface and ask questions. Contracts. What is a contract? Okay, let's not make it too cumbersome. I like to be as simple as possible. A contract, simply speaking, is an agreement between two or more persons. A contract is an agreement between two or more persons. Okay. Now, if you can see my back of my wrist, this place, let me try and show us here. There is it my right hand? No, it's my left hand. This side. There is, you may not see well, but there is a cut there. I was in the university then when a doctor injected me. I was sick. I think I had typhoid or something. And I went to his hospital in Ogun State University. I had typhoid. Unfortunately for him, I don't know whether I was managing syringe or something. He injected me with a used syringe. I was too weak to notice. Because after he dropped it, I'm like, doctor, this thing doesn't look neat to me. I think they rinsed it or something. Very, very untidy thing. And unfortunately, I was infected. I almost lost my left arm. I had so much pus in the hand. Then I think I was in part 3 or so, studying law. If such things should happen now, he won't go scot-free, of course. I mean, he risked my life. That was a breach of contract. I went to him. I trusted him as a professional to give best practice. But that was a very clear violation, a clear breach, really. Okay, so our agreement, though not written, was that I came to his hospital. I was willing to pay. I had paid. His job was to teach me. So he didn't fulfill his own side of the bargain. All right. So that is a simple and classical or classic example of breach of contract. It happens with doctors too. Like I said, I will try and mention 2 examples here in Ogun State that my office handled recently. We sued some some doctors and some hospitals. They did some things. I will just brief in general terms so that I don't even know whether the doctor is here. If he's here, don't worry, we will learn. I shall learn none. All right. Okay, let's look at types of contracts. So contract simply means agreement between two or more persons. So once we agree, like even in marketplaces, it's not a complex thing. I want to buy bottled water. How much is it? 100 naira. Okay, that's a contract. Once you agree, you know, then the contract has ensued. I don't want to bother us about. Okay, I'll just mention some things. There are some 5 elements. We call them 5 elements or 5 ingredients that must simultaneously coexist if there must be a contract. I'm sorry I'm rushing for time's sake, please. Just in case there's not some things I'm saying. Contract can be done. How can contract be consummated? It's in 3 types. One, we call it express. An express contract, whenever you hear express in law, it means it's written. Okay, it's written. So there are written contracts. For example, you want to get employed somewhere with the government, they give you a letter of employment that is purely written, all right? Secondly, it can be by paro. Paro means by words of mouth, that's oral, all right? It happens at times. Most times, filling stations employ people. They just call you. Once you do good and the likes, you know about money, they employ you. That's paro or oral. The third one is important, and I think doctors will listen to this. It is implied contract. Implied. Let me give us an example that that is medical related. So the time we handled a matter like that, I think some 8-9 years ago, a particular person was always coming to a hospital and was always calling herself a nurse in that hospital. So much so that the doctor, the principal of that hospital, would hear her at times refer to herself as a nurse. Okay, so people around believed her to be a nurse, and everything was fine until a certain time when this lady started treating people from home. She started attending to them. Unfortunately, I think she just had some emotional attachment with the doctor, not really a nurse. She made a very, very bad mistake. All right, I can't recall now. I think she prescribed some wrong drugs or something, and problem started. When the hand of the Lord came down on that lady, the lawyer was wise enough to join the doctor and his hospital. I'll tell you what the doctor said when that happened. Doctor said, I never told you that I employed her. She's not my my employee. That was what the doctor said. And the lawyer said in response, and he was correct, there's something we call estoppel. Lawyer asked the doctor in the court, several times, Mrs. So-and-so always said she was a nurse in your hospital. She said, yes, that's a problem. She always said so. There was no time you rebutted that claim that she always made. He said, yes, I mean, she was just saying whatever she liked. And the lawyer said, my lord, that will be all. As simple as that is, it created a lot of problem. It almost ran the hospital aground because impliedly or by estoppel, we call it estoppel in law, the doctor had represented to the people, to the public, that the lady was his staff. That created a lot of problem. He paid very, very heavily for that thing. All right, so that is implied. So we have to be careful how we conduct. That implied can be by conduct too. So we have written, parole or oral, then implied or by conduct. So the 3 major categories. Now to the next issue. What are the characteristics of a contract? Why do you need these characteristics? At times, there's a law we call the Sales of Goods Law, all right, or Act. It's important for you to know when your liability starts. It's important. If someone comes to your hospital, for example, and at the point of, I don't know what you call it, I think it's consulting you use in your own technology, but for us, we call it debriefing. So when a client comes to my office, while debriefing or while you are listening to a potential patient, let's assume she just collapses and then she attempts to sue your medical facility for whatever, whether for negligence or something. The question is, at what point can we say that you started becoming responsible for clients? Now, to answer that question, we have to look at 5 things. All right. They are called characteristics or terms of contract. One is offer. Offer simply means offer. I want so and so thing. I've come to the hospital. My wife wants to be delivered of a baby. All right, it's a maternity center. That's an offer. Once you come in, offer can be implied. Once you walk in, you can accept that there's an offer, generally speaking. Then 2 is acceptance. Acceptance. Okay, that means, you know, like in most hospitals, once you come in, they tell you, go and take a hospital card. All right. Once that is done, it can be largely deemed that you've accepted to entertain the person. All right. 3 is consideration. Consideration in law simply means benefit of a contract. So once the person pays, for example, no matter how minimal, for card, for instance, all right, then in law, it will be deemed that consideration has passed. If it's for treatment for whatever thing as well, once payment has exchanged hands, for example, then it will be deemed that has been consideration. Number 4 is capacity. What is capacity? Under Nigerian laws, a person under 18 years old is not capable of entering into a valid contract. All right. So if an 18-year-old, for example, has approached you to buy drugs, for example, under 18, and he refuses to pay, it will be difficult in law to enforce that. That's why it's good to ask that their parents or guidance will accompany them. All these things, for the fact that you are doctors, would not absolve you of liability or guilt. You may have heard before that ignorance is not an excuse. I think that's section 22 or so of criminal code law of most states in Nigeria. It's really not an excuse. Okay, so that I do not know will not, you know, be an excuse. I know of a young boy, I think about 16, 17. He went to buy a car. He had paid partly for the balance, and he did not show up. And you know, he was later sued from a very rich family. The parents tried to play the dirty game with the car dealer. He went scot-free. The court just said that, how could you deal? The person you dealt with lacked capacity. He lacked capacity to contract with you. So that became a problem. So capacity is important. So you may want to confirm the age of prospective clients, for example. I mean, I said client, patients. They are clients too anyway. So you may want to confirm, all right? It's important because if you deal with an underage and there is the issue of payment, your remunerations, one may run into some subtle problems, all right? So one we want to confirm. And finally, is intention to create legal relations. Let me break that down. It means that whoever you are dealing with as a doctor, there must be an implied intention that you both intended or intend to create legal relationship between each other. For instance, if you treated your wife or your husband and your spouse refuses to pay you, can you take a step? Most likely no, except you want to divorce, because such is seen as what we call social contract. Social contract, all right? Even at times for relatives, actually. So relations, domestic or social relationships. Such one okay, the last part in the course content sent to me is partnerships / group practice. In fact, this seems to be the core of this meeting. Let's do it this way. I'll try and run through it for time's sake. For doctors, like I said, partnership is very much welcome. Associateship is welcome. What are the benefits, by the way? All right. Like, for example, I'm planning to run a partnership with a colleague of mine. The beauty of it is, instead of me to pay 400,000 naira for my office, we share 200,000. She pays 200, I pay 200. Instead of me employing my support staff, my driver, driver is personal, my secretary, litigation track, about 5 people or so are needed in the office. So instead of me taking mine and she taking hers, we can come together. One person can serve, the same person can serve that same purpose for the same office. All right, same thing for utility bills, electricity bill, it's the same computer and everything, all right? The ACs and all the likes, we buy for at the same time. So it is far cheaper. Of course, we share ideas too. I don't know how it works with doctors, but a good lawyer would not prepare a case alone and file it alone. No, no, a good lawyer won't do that. What we do is, even if you're my junior, it makes no difference. I give you what I've done, all right? You take a look at it again, Oga, Eshibai, and we pick from there. Because oftentimes when you do it alone, we have discovered that they are rippled oftentimes or replete with mistakes, errors. I'm not talking about typographical error. I mean serious technical consequential, very, very consequential errors, really. So they can be avoided if we have partnership or association. So most times in Ogun State, for example, I've noticed that most doctors are alone. This is Dr. Ashimi. This is his hospital, Ashimi Medical Center. And when he's not around, they can have an employee, really. But if we begin to consider association or partnership, in other clients, they happen there, really. You can have two qualified doctors, senior doctors coming together to form as one. They can share ideas and the likes. It is always better, once you agree on terms. And we'll end on the terms part, actually, a good terms of partnership. Okay, now there are different types of partnership. I don't want to bore us with that. Limited partnership, general partnership. You can register. When you want to register, they will ask you, is it general or limited? And the likes, once you clear those ones off, it's not an issue. Let me mention now the difference between partnership and association. From the word associates, partnerships are two or more professionals coming together. Let's say four. Let's say I can see Dr. Olatunji Oridota. I'm sorry if I didn't get it. I can see Dr. Paul Fadiji. I can see Dr. Bundiron. I can see Dr. Oladapo Rebi. So if, for example, come together to register and start a clinical firm, imagine how much. Of course, you have to get a good lawyer to draft a very solid partnership, because each of you, I can imagine, will have different. All right, maybe I have to join now. I want clients and her. All right, example. So how do you manage income, profit, loss, etc.? So all these things have to be sorted out before you even start. That's important. So a partners that they are professionals of about the same ranking, not necessarily the same year. All right, years of practice matters so much in law. All right, that's why if I get to court now, even without talking, judges would ask me to mention my case first, and where my seniors are there, they will mention their cases first. Seniority matters in law. I don't know how it works in medicine, but it makes no difference when it comes to partnership. Once you come together as partners, it means you are all co-owners and you are co-runners, what we call alter egos of the venture, partnership venture. Now, on the other hand, an associate is your employee. So I am lawyer, I am Dr. Paul Fadiji, for example. So I can employ Dr. Kayode Aderemi, okay? Then you pay me, that is association. You see that we are both professionals, we are both doctors, for example. So, but because you are paying me and I'm your employee, that is loosely speaking called an associateship arrangement. But for partnership, nobody pays anybody. Of course, you get your profits, but generally speaking, you are both co-owners. You are both co-owners. I think we can get the difference with that. Okay, as I end, remind me to talk about the two doctors thing that I said, hospital thing that I said we took to court. All right, on the basic components of a good partnership agreement, let me mention just some tips. Of course, you can't take these tips by yourselves and draft by yourself. It won't be tidy. We have implied terms, express terms, different things we can cover if we are drafting an agreement. But let me mention some of them. Number one is your name. What name do you want to register as? Number two, your place of business is important. Are we using Dr. Ashimi's hospital? Are we using Dr. Olatunji's hospital? etc, etc. Number three, the nature of business. In other words, what exactly you want to be doing. Then the scope of a business. Some people will say that they want to do CSR, that is corporate social responsibility. And some will say that it's not in the nature of business and the likes. So before you begin at all, you need to have understood and agreed what exactly you want to do. This is important. I have said earlier some minutes ago that it is the best, I think, in my opinion, I want to see in Nigeria, I want to see an Ogun State where you have a dentist together with a surgeon, with opticians in the same, not government hospital, not FMC, not Ijaye, but private outfit. It happens across the, outside the country. You know, by there you can come. It will look like a one-stop shop. For instance, it doesn't spoil anything. Your clients are still your clients. We lawyers, we do it. Yes. There's a firm in Lagos that about 15 lawyers came together. You have your own. The beauty of it, like I said, is we have specialization. Somebody can walk in and property lawyer, you do that. For election petition, you have somebody there already. You don't have to go around. You can move to an office and get almost anything. I think you can begin to think in that direction in Ogun State or Nigeria and make that happen. It's going to be a beautiful thing, in my opinion, if that happens. So I've mentioned the name of partnership, the place of partnership. That's the business place, the nature of business. Number 4, the capital or equity contribution. Capital or equity contribution. In about 2 minutes, I'll be done. All right, let's just hang in there. What do I mean by that? Some doctors have money, you know, they may not even be practicing. They may say that, okay, I want to start out a hospital. I'm going to drop 20 million. You have just 2 million, but you have the experience. Some doctors are not practicing, but they have the money, really. It happens. Okay? Like, is it Dr. Ngige? Dr. Ngige, Chris Ngige. I think he's a medical doctor too. Or he's a politician. All right, something like that. So at the start, you have to agree to and clearly state it out. What is everybody bringing to the table? Now, why is this important? It's important because it will determine the profit ratio too, really. Once a client comes in, he pays, we call it consultation fee. I think you call it, I don't know what you call it. I think they just obtain card. But all these things have been sorted, really. You know, so when that is done, before you even form it, at the point of formation, agree who is bringing what. We have what you call equity contribution to. I started an example. That's where you bring in your expertise. You're not bringing so much money, but at the scratch, let everything be as detailed and written as possible. Don't say we are friends. In Nigeria, that happens a lot. Let's just start it based on trust. That trust doesn't mean it shouldn't be written. In fact, that you trusted somebody, that means there shouldn't be a problem. If I say, let's get it written down, really. So we oftentimes, the problem that we sort in courts and our offices, oftentimes in Nigeria, stem for not having things properly documented. And finally, I'll stop on this point. Ancillary matters, all right, has to be in the partnership agreement. That is, who has a right of double vote, for example. Okay. If you want to bring in additional partners, what are the procedures? If you want to remove a partner, how many length notice should be given? Is it 2 months notice? Is it 1 year notice? All these things must be clearly spelled out. It's better to take a long time determining this and then running a smooth course than rushing into it and crashing after some time. All right. That is generally about all. I think, like I said, the goal is to help boost our management techniques and possibly looking out for partnerships or association. Association is even common, all right, under the medical field, generally, whether nurses or doctors, generally speaking. Okay, I promised to tell us 1 or 2 experiences. One was this. A woman was, she was allegedly assaulted by security agents. So she went to the hospital. Remember, of course, like you all know, you need a police form to fill that the doctor will fill and the like. All right. So police gave her a form to take to the hospital. She took the form there. She filled everything, and she was treated and all. So later, an issue now occurred about the woman. Now, police now went to the hospital and demanded for a medical report. Unfortunately, the hospital and the doctor at the time released a medical report to the police. So she just stumbled into that later. Excuse me, Oga Olopa, how did you stumble into my medical report? I said, don't you know we are police? We have the power. So really, no problem. So she headed to the court. She sued the police. She didn't even sue the police, just sued the hospital straight and the doctors involved. Hello? Can you still hear me, doctor? Just went blank.
Yes, we can hear you.
All right. Yes. So this is what now happened eventually. The hospital filed, the hospital lawyer came, the doctor lawyer came, and they said the police demanded for the report, so we gave them. We now, my office handled the case. We now refer them to, I think, Rule 44 of your Rule of Professional Ethics for medical professionals and dentists. It says that if you are going to give anybody a medical report and the person you are giving is not the owner of the report, it's not the patient, the law says, your own law says you must issue that under protest. In fact, I think it says under strong protest. I mean, something as simple as, I am aware, how do you draft it, for example? I'm aware that the police is, a government agency, blah, 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 and the likes. And I'm aware that our rules state that we should not issue so and so things or so and so persons. However, because of just state some very strong reason and state there that you don't subscribe to this and all that. Clearly put it there. That can pass for a protest, for instance. But they didn't do that. And I asked them in court, doctor, police came to you, you said yes. Was there anything that was issued whatsoever apart from he didn't know where I was going? Apart from the medical report, he said no. I said, my lord, that's all. So at the point of my final address, I just told the court, the rule is clear. You should have issued under protest to the police. And the court asked them to pay a huge amount of money. Of course, we got the money eventually. Very, very sad for the hospital and for the doctor, but that's how it went. The second and the last one is this. A husband and a wife went together to a hospital. Together, she had a problem, I think fibroid or something. Now, and she was treated, the wife was treated. Unknown to the doctor, after the treatment, they had issues. So they separated. The husband went his way, wife went his way. Now, the husband now wanted to file for divorce. Things didn't go on well between them. You know what he now did, sir? He went to the hospital. He was trying to prove to the court that the woman had fibroid and had health challenges, issues, and as a result, would not be able to have babies, something like that. So the doctor now asked the husband, "Where is the wife?" The man responded that, "You know that you brought her here sick about 2-3 years ago. She's still very sick. As a matter of fact, she can't even stand. That's why she's not here." He lied, in short. And the doctor issued that report to the husband. We didn't know about all this until when he filed for divorce and attached that report. As I'm speaking with you, the case was filed about 3 years ago or so. I didn't even bother about the divorce at all. I said divorce should first wait. I just removed that medical report. We sued the doctor, sued the hospital. That why did you do this? And the doctor got his lawyer too. The lawyer responded and said, remember the divorce case was even different though. They just attached it as a document to support the divorce case. And the doctor came. Maybe the lawyer didn't advise him well. When the lawyer came to the office, to the court, I called him aside and I pointed him to what your law said. Even if that's the case, there are some steps you should have taken before doing that. You didn't do it. He too paid handsomely, really, for a mistake that could have been corrected with just a sheet of paper. So I advise that before we take some certain steps, you may wish to engage some lawyers, maybe on a retainer basis, just the same way people have family doctors. I advise that the hospitals, or even if you're in private practice, have relationship with some lawyers that you trust to guide you generally, no matter how much, your job is basically the medical line. Okay, you may not be well abreast, and the way laws are written in Nigeria is terrible, really. I'm a lawyer. At times, if you're not a lawyer, you may not understand if you read a law. It is English, but you will see thereof save herein after. But for a moment, you see all those things are, it seems almost deliberate. So you may wish to engage a lawyer that will guide certain things. It's better to tell the client, hold on, I'll get back to you, than rushing to do things. Of course, I now asked the woman, madam, when they operated you for fibroid, how much did you pay? She told me. Now, the amount the doctor paid for issuing that one was like ×3 or ×4 of what the woman paid when she was operated upon. You can imagine that. Really, what a costly mistake. So we may want to be double careful so that we don't run foul of these things. Thank you very much. Like I said, all through my talk time, I tried to save in my mind that the goal is to see possibility of having doctors come together to form association or partnership. At the same time, as much as possible, to be sure that they do not run foul of some simple medical tips as they relate to law practice. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you.
So thank you so very much, Barrister Aderemi, for introducing us to business law and how to form formidable partnerships. So I must apologize for the initial delay. We had some technical problems. So that was why I was trying to play the music so that the house will not be too quiet. Then I also want to thank senior colleagues here and my colleagues for bearing with us despite the delay. So this conversation is so important now because a lot of people are becoming so aware of the fact that, he left. Oh, okay, stay here. I thought he left. So this conversation is so important now because a lot of people are becoming aware that you can actually sue doctors or hospitals. And about coming together to form partnerships too. Yeah, about coming together to form partnerships. So there's something we call group medical practice. And a lot of us are actually thinking about that, and we know would need the services of a lawyer when that comes to fulfillment or fruition. So we're going to start asking you questions now, but I just want to start by asking you one question. Like you mentioned going to see a doctor when you were in school and you were given an injection and you had abscess or something like that. So quick question, are you sure he's actually a qualified medical doctor? Barrister, you have to unmute yourself.
All right, okay, yes. You know the way it works earlier. One would not walk into a hospital and say, show me your qualifying. We don't do that.
Sorry, I can't hear you very well.
Doctor will
Barrister, can you start all over again?
Or if you walk into a lawyer's and say, are you qualified, Mr. Lawyer? Show me certificate. Somehow. So, but he was a well-known. I can't say for sure whether he was qualified. In reality, no one walks up to a hospital and say or ask, "Sir, are you a qualified doctor? Can I see it?" Or no one. If someone walks up to my office and says, I could feel irritated. You know, all right. Maybe that's why we have likes of an NDA and NMA anyway. But at that time, I don't know, but he was a very well-known doctor in Ijebu at the time, really.
Okay, thank you for.
Just assumed that.
I lost you there.
I can't hear. I can't hear what. No? Hello.
I think I lost you at some point. Okay, so we want to throw the floor open for questions from everyone. So you can unmute your mic and ask the barrister any question.
Okay, good afternoon, Barrister.
Good afternoon, sir.
Sorry, my name is Dr. Oloko.
Dr.
Oloko.
Dr.
Oloko, yeah.
Okay.
Thank you so much for the beautiful presentation. I'm about to go into partnership, with some colleagues of mine. and so it's quite relevant to me. Now, the question is, I want to ask you, in your last slide, you discussed capital and equity. And I wanted to ask you to differentiate between capital and equity. And I want to give you a practical case. I believe what you contribute to the business is the capital. And at the beginning of the business, maybe with the CAC, it's equity or something like that. Maybe because we share the. Now, as you go into business, the contribution changes. Dr. A puts in, let's say, 5 million in a year. Dr. B puts in 2 million in a year. The equity they started with, I believe, should have changed. How do you affect change in equity on the papers? The difference in the amount contributed over the years into the business? That's my question. That's my first question.
Yeah, Dr. Oladapo, am I to respond one after the other like that? Or take them
Yes,
together?
you can respond one after the other.
Okay, the difference between capital and equity is just this. Capital is often viewed in terms of cash, like starting capital. Okay, at the point of starting, some would, like I cited example, somebody may drop more money, really. And like I said, that has to be clearly stated at the point of registration. How much is Dr. A dropping? If Dr. B is not dropping that much, what is he bringing to the table in short? Okay, and of course, I understand that. Remember, what I discussed about capital and equity is with regards starting up, not the continuity. As time goes on, Dr. B may have more. Okay, and that's how this thing has to be factored in. It's a very beautiful question because at the start, let's say Dr. A brought in, let's say 20 million, just for, or let's say 2 million, for instance, and Dr. B is more experienced, okay, with surgeries and the likes, and he brings his expertise to the table. In that case, we would say that Dr. B has contributed in equity via his expertise. So the basic difference is just one is in cash, the other is not in cash. That's the basic difference. So as time goes on, like you have asked, what now happens if the one that didn't contribute so much in cash now has to go and buy, for example, several millions of naira worth equipment? What happens in such a case, for instance? So all these things, that's why I said earlier that before you start, well factored in, carefully discuss what exactly, how is it going to work? As time goes on, if it gets bigger, want to expand, who does what? And there is also the place of amendment. You can amend your agreement or your MOU as time goes on. Nothing says it's going to start static, all right? Because things change and people change. So as time goes on, if there's a need to amend, of course, by all means, go ahead. So that's the big difference between capital and equity. Capital is basically about cash. Equity is not cash. It can be any other thing. It can be your goodwill. Yes, if, for example, I want to open a hospital and I'm close to the governor and I want to open it at Okemoson, I may not drop a dime. But once I know that I call the governor can give me a land, a facility for it, that is equity contribution, for instance. So that's the basic difference between the both, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Can I ask another question? Can I ask another question?
Okay.
Thank you very much. Now, this is a particular scenario that happened to a doctor.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
Okay. Can I go on? Okay. Now, this doctor and his colleague, they were into partnership, running a medical facility, and they had a sharing formula of 70-30, so to say, according from beginning of the business. Now as time goes on, the one with the bigger ratio had bigger money, so it puts in more. So over the next 5 years, the person that had, 70% ratio in the business had put in like 5 million naira more. The person that had, okay, can I? You didn't get it. I know a partner. I know a doctor that's into a partnership with another medical personnel, and they started the partnership with 70%, 30% ratio.
No, I didn't get it, actually.
You didn't get it? Hello.
Yeah, 70 and 30% ratio.
Yes,
Yes.
yeah, this one, yes. Now, after 5 years, the person that had 70% ratio had dropped in over 5 million into the business.
Yeah.
The person that had 30% ratio had nothing additionally. Now,
Yeah.
unfortunately, one of them died. The person with the 30% died. The wife now approached. So, to the wife, my husband is a part owner. So yeah, so okay, now to the bigger partner, that's true. But with what we have done after, I mean, within the last 5 years, your husband shareholding should have reduced. It can't be that any longer because it didn't drop any money after that for the business. The business is now growing and much more bigger. The wife said, "No, that's my husband's share in this business. Whatever you drop into the business will pay you back as borrowed money. It won't affect the capital base or the equity or something." So that really caused conflict between friends and family. And so I mean, as a lawyer, I mean, it's a problem. That's one reason why people have reasons of not going to partnership, because of the complications, particularly from family members and wife. To the wife, my husband goes for business every evening to business meeting. My husband says he owns himself, so but she does not know the details, and so she will feel cheated and things like that. That's the reason why doctors run away from partnership. Can you help us out in this kind of scenario? This really happened that I know of the partner.
Okay. Thank you, sir. It's good. It's a simple question. It's just that is the analogy, is the example that made it look as if it's complex. The question is this: two people are into a partnership, one died. So the wife of the deceased one has come trying to claim some things. Simple. The question is the facilities belonging to that hospital, for instance, in whose name were they acquired? Right? Hello.
That is a company name.
Am I still on?
Yes.
Yes. So yes. Yeah. So once it's a limited, then she can't claim that. She can't, because there's something we call legal personality. So those things belong to the company, not even to those that are legal. Really, that's the difference. She can't claim anything. If the dead doctor, for example, had bought it in his own name, a different ballgame. But once you register, you float a relationship, whether an organization limited or whatever. Once you float it and you purchase properties or equipment in the name that is registered, then nobody can come to lay personal claim on them. Talk less of the wife or husband of the person. No, that can happen. So the name of the property will determine. Even husband and wife, when they are divorcing at times, some wives do it. Yeah.
Can she sit on the board? She wants to sit on the board of the company, being a shareholder. The other on the share. Can she sit on the board?
Then there will be a board meeting where that will be discussed. If at the board meeting, of course, the husband alone, the husband could not have been the one in the board. So they should convene a board meeting. If either parties is needed, why not? And the board ratifies it. Why not?
Okay, thank you.
Dr. Fadije was raising up his hand the other time. You can unmute your mic, sir.
Am I on?
Yes, you're on now, sir.
All right, thank you very much. I want to thank our learned lawyer for that beautiful lecture. We used to enjoy you on Rock City. God will continue to bless you. My questions, I have 2 or 3 questions. Now, the first one is that, you see, doctors, we have this humanitarian nature by virtue of our nature of our business. And more often than not, at the end of the day, patients, especially those that are brought on emergency, they're not able to pay, and then they owe you. And you talk of a contract. Once you have already accepted the patient, you have already made a contract. If such patients owe you, can you take them to the law court? Based on the lecture that you gave us today, that's number 1. Then number 2, the issue of medical reports, which you are talking about, because I use a lot of medical reports. Are you saying that it is the police that we should give the medical report or the patient? That's the second question. Then the other issue of fibroid or whatever.
Am I saying what?
Say the second scenario that you painted, the second example you gave,
Yes.
concerning the fibroid. The fibroid.
Yes.
Maybe due to the network, I couldn't understand you very well. In a nutshell, what exactly was the mistake of the doctor? Just in a nutshell, maybe in a sentence. Those are the three questions I have for you. Thank you very much.
Okay. Let me start with the third one. I didn't get the second question very clearly, but the third one is this. You said the voice was maybe
Sorry, Dr. Fadji, can you repeat the question, sir?
Yes, second question, yes.
What exactly was the fault of that doctor? Just the sentence.
Okay, that issued the medical report. Okay, his fault. All right. So
sorry,
the third one.
I think if I get Dr. Fadji right, the second question was who do we issue medical reports to? Dr. Fadji. Is it the police or something about the medical report?
Okay.
Or the patient.
Okay.
The patient or the victim.
Rule 44 of rules of professional conduct for medical practitioners and dental practitioners. For medical and dental practitioners, 2004 states that, of course, there's a confidentiality rule too. You know that once a patient is attended to, the research should be strictly between the patient and the doctor. He now talks about report. Report is anything concerning the patient that wants to treat the patient. Like the only person that can get a report from your treatment or diagnosis is the patient himself or herself. It now goes further that the court, the police, etc., or the government agency may request for such information or such report. Where they do such, a doctor must issue such reports under protest. So, generally speaking, the owner of a report is the one that should be given. But the exceptions are, if you have to give to the court, police, anything, issue it under protest. And what that means is that cite in that report that you know that this is wrong, but because so and so and so, it is unethical to do, but you are constrained because the court has ordered you, or because the police, to bring a letter of law that police, I respect you, I will give you this because I'm an officer, I've seen your ID card, but you can go as far as doing that, requesting for a letter from a not just a sergeant, not just an inspector, at least rank of an ASP. If that doctor tenders such, I'm sure, I believe it will be covered. So that's covered that I believe. The third question, the fibroid thing, just to get us to understand it, a lady went to hospital, she was treated with her husband, took her there. After the treatment, they parted ways. So the husband wanted to sue for divorce. The husband went back to the hospital and requested that the doctor should give him medical report, chronicling the treatment that he took out on that his wife about 3-4 years ago. The doctor gave it to the man. And when the matter got to court, I just removed that medical report. I sued that doctor, sued his hospital, and asked him to come and explain why he gave medical reports to the husband. And he said it's because the wife was sick. Did you take further steps to confirm if he was sick? He said she was sick and hospitalized. Why not ask for the doctor's number? Take some steps to show that you have done what is called due diligence before you release to someone else. And what is the basis for all this, you may ask? You can imagine this example I cited. The man used it to get back at the wife. Exactly what the law is trying to guide against. So once he filed it in court, everybody in the court knew that she had fibroid before, and she had a challenge having babies. So imagine that kind of thing. So imagine if her husband, her next husband, were to be a lawyer and sees that. Of course, he'll be put off, for example. So that is the essence of such. And to the first question, can a doctor sue patient? Why not? Section 6 of the Constitution of Nigeria says that any issue of liability or rights can be taken to the court. So yes, a doctor can sue anybody actually, and patients to thank you, sir.
So Dr. Fadji, are you satisfied with the answer? Okay. Any more questions? Dr. Hamidallah, I hope I got that right. Hamida.
Salam.
Okay. All right. So you can ask a question, Dr. Hamida.
It's Dr. Abdusalam, sir.
Dr.
Hello.
Abdusalam. Yeah.
Yes. Good afternoon, sir, and thank you very much for the lecture that you have delivered to us. Now, my question is, in situations where I am a gynecologist at FMC Abeokuta, and we usually come across cases of rape, okay, and most times when these patients are presenting, they actually present with either in the company of a policeman or a law enforcement agent officer, and you actually have a note from them asking you for a confirmation. We have what we call a rape kit. We want to see what are the evidences on the victim at the time of assault and presentation that could, name the suspect as the person who actually carried out the assault. Now, in a government hospital, well, once or twice we've had to go to court to actually defend the reports that we give up to them. But in a private setting, what is advised? That someone comes like that, because there's usually the rule of presenting immediately or within 24 to 48 hours after the assault so that you can actually have genetic material to present. Now, in a private setting, how is the doctor in such a case covered? Or is it advisable to turn away such patients from a private facility to present at a government facility if there is no covering for such a doctor in such a setup? Thank you.
Okay. Again, I'm sorry, I seem not to get the full concept of the question, but if I got it correctly, this is, I think you're asking whether an allegedly raped lady can approach a private facility.
Yes.
For test. Is that what you're asking? Okay,
no.
Now this is the issue.
If such a situation occur, hello? Sorry, if such a situation occur, what is the doctor expected to do in such a setup? You understand? Most times they present, she comes in with a police officer or with a note from the police station stating that they require an assessment, whether she has been assaulted sexually, and if genetic materials can be obtained from the body of the victim to prove that the suspect was the person that carried out the assault. I hope you got me. Hello? Hello?
I think his internet is
failed.
So. But let's hold on. He's probably hearing, maybe not being able to. Let's hold on a second for him, please.
Okay. Hello? Okay, now you're back. His network is a little bit unstable there.
Okay, okay, it's back now.
Okay. Hello?
Can you unmute yourself, Barrister? You're still muted, so you have to unmute yourself.
All right, I'm sorry, network glitch.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Hello?
Now, yes.
Okay, thank you. Now the situation is, yes. Do you get a picture, or should I come over again?
Please kindly come over because it keeps breaking, that's why.
Okay. Now a woman who has been sexually assaulted. Okay. Yes. Now she presents with a law enforcement agent officer or a written request from the police station, irrespective of what level it is. It's a situation that we come across very frequently in government settings as a gynecologist, and I've had to issue such. You understand? Of course, with the consent of the patient to the police officer. Okay. Now, in a private setting where you don't really have that covering of the government hospital, what would you advise? The doctor in such a situation, are you covered to offer such a medical report to such a patient? Or do you refer them to a government setting?
This is what I would advise. There's something in law we call erring on the side of caution. If at all you have to err, I want to err on the side of caution. What that means, for example, is if I'm not sure whether I should put 1 or 2 fingers on my face, let me just put 2. But if you say 2 is too much, it's better. I'll just take 1 off, which means 1, than putting nothing. So that is an example of erring on the side of caution. If what I would advise such private doctor to do is, after you have done that assessment, deliver the report to the alleged victim.
Okay.
And ask the person to sign that he or she received a woman now, that she received directly from you. With that, issues will not come later, saying why did you give this or that, because I have many officers, like I say on my radio program on Sunday, Rock City FM, police officers can be very, very funny, very, very, very funny. I've had a case before where an officer was investigating a case of rape, and during investigation, he was asking the lady out again. You know, you can imagine that. So if such cases, if something happens, that such doctor should hand over that report to the lady herself and let her sign that she took it herself. With that, if there is any erring, I mean, it's a sign of caution.
Okay.
So I've been to her directly.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am.
So, any more questions from anyone?
Yes, I have questions. I have questions, please.
Okay, go ahead. Yeah, sure.
Thank you very much. Yeah, again, now I want to talk about debts. How do you?
Sorry, let me ask Barrister a question. Do you have a timeline? Do you?
Maybe we can do about maybe 10, 15 more minutes.
Okay, all right.
So,
thank you.
Debts now. Debts. How do you get a debt from your patient? The patient comes to the hospital. I mean, you get it and goes away owing you. I know that I've heard that in court of law that debt is not a crime. If you go to the court, they will say, "How can you pay?" That's the last. They won't pay somebody because of debt. If you now go to sue a patient because of debt, it's not counterproductive. How best can you get your money owed from your patient back from your patient? That's the first thing. In debt recovery, is suing the patient the best way out, or which other way? Now, secondly, insurance. Do we advise we should do group insurance or medical insurance so that all this litigation can be taken up by the our insurance stuff? Because, like Dr. Wedeta said, it appears that they're going to be suing doctor a lot in the next few years, a lot. So if you do insurance, I mean, that could cover a lot of the litigation stuff. Then the third thing I want to ask is about when do you need a court order, a court injunction, or a warrant to act as a doctor? For example, issue of rape or issue of or medical reports. Can you request that? Okay, I'm not this report from the this request from the police or for any government agency is not satisfactory enough. I need a court order or I need a court request to give me permission to issue this medical report. Whether it's rape or anything, do you need a court injunction or a court order or a request to do anything? Is that not better for a doctor? Thank you.
Okay, not better. Let me just start with the third one. So I will have the first or two ones already, first and second one already. Now, I understand, but this is the classic example of erring on the side of caution you mentioned. But if that happens, it's going to be you're about to see in budget. Yes, for those that don't understand Yoruba, it means some things will spoil. Banks are doing it now. If, for example, I mistakenly transferred, maybe I want to transfer money to Dr. Salam. Now transfer to go to the bank, for instance. I mean, right now, and I go to the person I even transferred to. If this person you have mistakenly transferred to goes with you, banks will still tell you, go and bring a court order. The whole idea is to have them covered so that eventually somebody comes and says, actually, he was owing me, he paid me. Why did you deduct from my account without telling me? I'm paying somebody else. It can cause a big problem for banks. So banks want to be covered. So they will direct you to the court to go and get a court order. That is how it works generally. But if doctors, you save lives, like it's been said, really. If that begins to happen in the medical line, I think it may begin to defeat the whole essence of your Hippocratic oaths, really. It should be lives first. So because of the nature of your jobs, that may be difficult to do. But I have addressed your concern when I was delivering my speech by saying that you can get, there are ways you can get covering. You can get a letter, a cover letter from the requesting authority, all right? Clearly stating so and so and so thing. I gave examples the other time. If you have a recording of it, you can go through it again, all right? You can get a covering, most likely from a senior officer. And when you are issuing such reports, include it there that you know that this is not ethical, but you have taken so and so and so and so steps, all right? Now the public may take note, etc., etc. Something will generally cover you. Insurance, yes, by all means. And you may want to get a law firm to work with you. You may want to do that because there are instances where issues can come up and they can offer quick advice to you. By the way, there are several ways to recover money. Some have said that it's difficult to get back money from, like the example you cited. Most lawyers won't tell you that. The hospitals that I sued, I didn't drag them. No, I have my ways of getting the money. There are several ways of getting money from people. So maybe the style that people think, maybe from movies most times, is court will ask you about the master. In reality, it doesn't really happen, really. It doesn't really happen. Actually, for high courts, no, courts won't dabble into that, which is called descending into the arena of conflicts. Most judges won't try that, actually. So there are very, very neat ways of getting money back. Of course, there are bad debts. If somebody is a debt, but for high-profile persons, or from persons that you must call kundi, of course, you can get the money very, very little. And in fact, get damages. Damages is additional money you get, apart from the real money the person is owing. So by all means, get insurance and get, a law firm on your retainership business. What that means is a certain amount to be paid every month. When issues come up, don't bother your head at all. Just call them. They know what and what to do. And finally, to the first question, how can you get debts? Of course, that has been partly answered by the second question I just addressed. There are several ways. There's garnishee, there's fight fee. There are several ways, really, several ways to recover debts from people. Fight fee is the person's property. Garnishee is the one you get from the bank. They can be a direct thing. At times, there are some that even happen. Like a particular hospital, I won't mention names. All we did was just to do a letter, and then they complied. So that this is where advocacy skills come in from the lawyer. There are several ways you assess, a prospective patient. Look at how best to approach the person. If I begin to cite examples, we won't leave here today. But when you approach a lawyer, he assesses, your client or your patient, and from that assessment, he can advise you go this way or go that way. But there are several things you can niche on to get your money back. So yes, sir.
Okay, thank you, Barrister Aderemi. I really wish we could go on and on and on to be asking you questions, but hopefully Dr. Ashimi will bring you back for a second part or something. I don't know. So, on behalf of Dr. Ashimi, the convener of this webinar, I want to say thank you to Barrister Aderemi for taking time out to be with us and for that beautiful presentation. And to my senior colleagues and colleagues, thank you very much for waiting till now. It has been a time well spent learning so much about law and some implications to our practice. Dr. Ashimi is busy with one thing or the other, so I'm not sure he's here at the moment, but he's going to send out messages to us with regards to the next, with regards to the topic of the next meeting or webinar. And I think he's going to make the slides available too. and he's also going to make the video available to anyone that is interested in having the video. So I want to say thank you very much once again, and we'll have to call it a day.
All right, thank you, sir. All right, thank you very much, sir. All right, thank you. It's a pleasure.
So have a good weekend, everybody.
Bye, sir.